Well, thank you so much for inviting me to participate in the Happiness Week. I feel very honored. I'm WilliamWan from Singapore. I'm General Secretary of the Singapore Kindness Movement. I bring greetings from Singapore to all of you. Happiness and kindness have a symbiotic relationship. They are more like twins or two blades of the same pair of scissors. If you're kind, you're more likely to be happy. And if you're happy, you're more likely to be kind. In fact, there is a positive feedback loop between kindness and happiness. The happier you are, the kinder you're going to be. And the kinder you are, the happier you're going to be. In the study on kindness, researchers have also found what I call the chemistry of kindness. We are made up of neurotransmitters, and some of them are really very powerful stuff. In fact, all of them are powerful. So they have found that when people are kind, there are physical and mental benefits. For example, when you are kind, the mind or the brain produces dopamine. Dopamine is associated with positive thinking. And when you think positively, they have found that it also helps in the healing of the body. You notice that those people who are in hospitals, who are being treated, the ones with positivity, always thinking positively, the ones with the highest amount of dopamine in their brains, for example, due to being kind and so on, they tend to recover more quickly. There is also in the brain a version of what we might call painkillers or morphine or something that will kick in, that will make you feel good about yourself. And that is called endorphins. When a person does an act of kindness and so on, endorphins kicked in, and they have this a good feeling about themselves, and they tend then to do positive things. They will then commit kind acts and so on. Socially anxious people, research has found when they act kindly and when endorphins kicked in, they are much more likely to feel less socially anxious. They become more pro-active and pro-social. Happiness also affects the family. There is a study done by some positive psychologists entitled Enduring Love, Couple Relationships in the 21st Century. In that particular research, they found that just saying thank you to each other, the spouses, being kind to each other, making a cup of tea for each other, and so kindness actually helps to build a stronger relationship between the couple. So when kindness and graciousness are deeply rooted in the family, they become more compassionate to each other, more empathetic to each other, and families become stronger, much stronger, because they learn to appreciate and feel for each other. And that is part of the study. I recall what Mother Teresa said, and I think most people have heard this before, but it's worth repeating. Mother Teresa said, "We may not all do great things, but we can all do ordinary things with great kindness or great love." In fact, I think she said great love. We can then change the word and say great kindness. So it's not the big things that we do that necessarily show people how kind we are. We can actually be kind by just simply smiling at people, saying thank you, just be nice to others, showing appreciation. These little things will help us to express kindness. And of course, we all have neighbors, families first, and then neighbors. If we're kind to our own family, we're good to our own children, our spouses, our relatives, that's a good place to begin. And then the next inner circle would be our immediate neighbors. We see them all the time. You know, we're home, we see them. We get home, we see them. We leave for work, we see them. We get home from work, we see them. They're around us all the time. So why not be kind and reach out to them and be friendly? If we can do that, we are also fostering kindness. And of course, at the workplace, we spend so many hours at work every day. Why not be kind to one another when we see each other at work? Give each other a smile, asking each other, how are you? And what can I do to help you? Is there something that you need today? I'm going out for lunch. Since you're working over lunch, if you notice someone doing that, you can say, can I buy you some lunch? I mean, all those little things make a lot of difference. So kindness can start with very, very small things. And kindness, by the way, is infectious. It's contagious. You know, it's like a virus, actually. If we can spread the virus of kindness, then we are spreading good virus. And when everybody gets infected, we can be a kinder society. The new normal has already started. During COVID, in the worst of times, you know, if you like, we talk about deep winter, maybe the deep COVID, people were already stepping up to be kind to each other. There's greater sense of neighborliness. Some of the neighbors become very conscious of other neighbors, and especially more senior neighbors, senior in terms of age. And there's been a lot of government a call to seniors not to go out as often or as much, and younger people have been able to call on their neighbors and offer to buy grocery and to do things for the older neighbors. I think that's the first thing. I think post-COVID, we're going to have a better sense of neighborliness, I hope, and I trust. So that's number one. Number two, it follows that when people are more caring and looking out for neighbors, it means that we are going to learn how to look out for one another. Because in the end, if you think about it, COVID is about if we are all healthy, it's going to impact on all of us. Because if one of us is not well, one of us is infected, there is a greater chance of the rest of us getting infected. So there is a sense of solidarity. So we need to remember that. So it also means that we got to take care of ourselves, kindness to self. One of the first things that we have been asked to do during COVID is to mask. Why do we mask? It's partly not to spread whatever we have, but it's also to prevent ourselves from infection, because you know we are not careful. Take care of ourselves, and as a result, we take care of others. So kindness to self, taking care of ourselves is also very important. Then we need to think about our mental health. I think COVID-19 forced us all to work from home. And as a result of working from home, what happened is that, you know, there are a lot of mental issues that actually bubbles up. Many mental issues bubble up. People are getting a bit angsty because they are working from home. They are not going out often enough, feeling isolated, claustrophobic. And so mental health becomes something we're more aware of and more conscious. So mental health is not just about somebody else. We are all in danger of having mental health issues, you know, loneliness issues, anxiety issues. And so post-COVID is going to make us more aware of that. And as I said earlier on, when we are kind, certain neurotransmitters kick in. It also heals our mental health. It makes us feel better mentally as well. So that's a good thing. We become more conscious of our own mental health. And as a result of COVID, we are also more conscious of the signs of anxiety, the symptoms of sadness, irritability, loneliness, and so on. So it will make us more sensitive to others. When we realize and we notice the symptoms in our friends, we can reach out to them more sensitively and in a more timely way. So let's make it a habit to be more empathetic because we've learned it during COVID-19. So post-COVID, in the new normal, I think we become better people. Yes, I wrote about this in the commentary on one of our local digital newspaper, the CNA, Channel News Asia. I talk about the new VUCA world. I talk about VUCA standing for instead of just volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I was talking about the new VUCA, V for vigilance. being vigilant requires us to be alert to our surroundings. We become more aware if somebody is not wearing a mask. You become more aware if somebody is sniffing. This self-awareness and awareness of our environment, being more vigilant, should be carried into the new normal. We need to be more vigilant within ourselves. You know, even as we were vigilant when we were temperature, we become more aware that maybe we shouldn't be going out because, you know, we are not well. So in the same way, we need to be more self-conscious of ourselves. Are we feeling good today? Are we feeling, you know, kind? Are we feeling empathetic? So let's be more conscious of our emotions, so that we need to turn our negative emotion into positive emotion. At the same time, if we also be more vigilant about others? If you notice others are not feeling good, others are not feeling happy, maybe you want to reach out to them and see, you know, how they are doing, and maybe, you know, reach out to them and bring a dose of happiness into their lives. There are people who are walking around with a lot of burdens in their life, and they wish somebody would take notice and come alongside them. I remember reading a story about Saint Francisco and how on the Golden Gate Bridge, many people jump along the Golden Gate Bridge, and there was one person who wanted to jump, and because he was feeling suicidal, feeling sad, feeling like life has no meaning, and then a total stranger just stopped and asked him, "How are you?" And that made all the difference. Then he started to walk along with that stranger, and started to pour out all his anxiety, all his concern, all his sadness. And that process of what we call talk therapy, actually it's talk therapy. When you're talking to somebody, you are actually involved in talk therapy. And as a result of being able to unburden himself, he did not jump. So that man, that other stranger who just asked him a simple question, saved his life. So we need to be vigilant. We may save somebody's life in that way. The second letter in the VUCA is U, and U should stand for united. You know, the virus that affect us has no regard for race or religion or nation or rich or poor. You know, there is solidarity uh, at this time, because we all know that we are one human being. You know, as long as we are a human being, it doesn't matter where we are, who we are, it can infect us. This virus can infect us. And we all know that the world can only be better when everybody is better. In the same way, in a community, it's only when everybody is immune that we can truly say that we are safe from this virus. So being united means that we are more conscious of the fact that we have to be united to win this battle against the virus. Now, in post-COVID, I think we need to remember that when there is discrimination against another group, and we may not be part of that group, remember that if some group is discriminated today, tomorrow we could be the group that will be discriminated. So we must stand together in solidarity with everyone. During World War II, there was this pastor, I think his name is Niemöller, who did not survive the Holocaust. He said in his journal that when the Nazis came for the communists, I did not do anything because I am not a communist. When the Nazis came for the Romas, you know, the gypsies, well, I'm not a Roma, so I did nothing. When the Nazis came for those who have got disabilities and so on, I said it doesn't concern me because I'm not disabled. When the Nazis came for the Jews, I did nothing because I'm not a Jew. And finally, when the Nazis came for me, I looked around and there was no one else left to help me. What a powerful story that is. You see, in the united world, we have to be looking out for each other. We have to be there for each other, whether it's a religious persecution or racial persecution or whatever. We must stand up for those who are oppressed, because if not, one day we will be oppressed and there will be no one left to help us. So let's overcome all the issues in this world as much as we can by being united. And the next letter is the word compassionate. We have seen many acts of compassion during the pandemic. People from all walks of life have been able to extend compassion to others. Now, during COVID, we have many people working in the delivery sector, especially in the food delivery sector. And we've noticed that these people work very hard. They ride in the sun. They perspire. It's hot, especially in Singapore, and dusty. And many times we notice that these people, when they deliver the food, the people who receive the food, not only would they thank them, but they would reach out to them with a cold drink, and sometimes even offer them, a cold towel to wipe themselves and so on. I think these are kind acts that show empathy. And we need to be more and more compassionate, because we realize through COVID-19 that compassion helps a person and goes a long way. And finally, there is adaptability. The last word is A, for adaptable, being adaptable. We as human beings have survived over the thousands of years, and some would say millions of years, because of our ability to adapt. If we don't adapt, we will not survive. Today, many people have survived because they learn how to navigate through the ever-changing world that's caused by COVID-19. They've adapted the new ways of working, new ways of doing business. And we need to also adapt to the new ways of life, new ways of showing care and concern. When we have to have social distancing and we can't meet each other that often, we need to adapt to ways of using our phone, using our WhatsApp, using our electronic gadgets to reach out to one another. We are creating new culture of working from home so that we are still healthy in mind and in body. Learning how to exercise at home when we cannot go out to the gym. So these are adaptability situations where we can bring it over to the new normal and become a more adaptable people, and therefore we have a better chance of surviving. Well, I've said so much already, but if there's one last word, I think it's the thing I said earlier on. We all make choices. We can make good choices or we can make bad choices. Let me say again that if you decide to be a kind person, which you are already, so if you decide to be a kinder person, a more gracious person, you're making a good choice. But it got to start with the will to do it. In fact, in Singapore, we have a challenge. Most people are kind, but they don't express their kindness until somebody else starts. In other words, most people don't smile unless you smile first. And even then, they're not so sure. But I think that when we start smiling first and we start wishing people, by and by, people will start responding. When I was in Russia on a trip in the Siberian, Trans-Siberian train, I noticed that Russians also do not smile a lot. But we discovered that when we have a need and we use our Google translation and try to talk to them and ask for direction and seek their help, then they start to help us and then they smile. See, so don't judge a person by they are not smiling. Many people are actually kind inside, but they just need people to start and then they will start. So why not start smiling? Start kindness and start to show kindness and start to share kindness. Start with yourself. That will be my last word. Start with yourself. Thank you so much.